This is Paul McGann, and you're listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast.
The tangents this week continue all the way to episode number 84 of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. Peg, I want you to know I'm not thinking any unsavory thoughts about you right now. Wait, there's one. Welcome everyone to this week's episode of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. So glad you can join us. Let's start off like we do every week by going around the virtual table and see who's joined us this week.
This is Brittany in Bellevue.
This is Chrissy in Salt Lake City.
This is Mitch in Kitchener, Ontario.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Holly not being here always throws me off.
Whenever one of you is not here, it throws y'all off.
That's why I'm glad I go first. Doesn't matter who else.
Yeah.
So when I go out, when I'm gone, it's probably...
Yeah. Yeah, it is a little bit weird me going first. I'm like, oh, no, Brittany, I go.
Yeah. Even I've gotten thrown off.
If you haven't noticed, dear listener, we have a prescribed order we go in just because it's easier to keep track that way.
It's called the alphabet.
And it's alphabetical. It's nothing special or fancy. It's just whose name comes first in the alphabet.
And there's such a gap between C and M that I forget that when Holly's not here, that gap, it just...
It becomes a chasm.
I know, Chrissy.
You have to jump it. You can make it, Mitch. It's okay.
It's like Indiana Jones, the leap of faith.
Yeah.
You can get the Grail. Oh, alrighty then.
Reach for it. Got it. Anyway. We're done telling Kevin jokes.
Yeah. Oh. Anyway, on with the show. To news, yes. News. We don't have actually a whole lot of news this week, which is probably a good thing. A couple of new trailers dropped. The most controversial of the two, depending on who you are. We got our first glimpse at the new Ghostbusters, the female-driven Ghostbusters, which I'm withholding judgment till I actually see it, but based on what I saw on the trailer, I actually kind of like it. And I seem to be in the minority with that.
This is my thing. I'm like,
I like it.
I don't know where this whole thing of we need a new Ghostbusters movie comes from, because I'm like, I'm fine with the two we've got. I like them, and I don't think they need another sequel. I don't think they need a reboot. I definitely don't think they need a reboot. And it's one of those things like Ghostbusters and Back to the Future and all the others 80s things. Like, I don't want a new one. I like the old one. And the trailer to me kind of looks like it's a little confused, because it's like 30 years ago, 4 scientists saved the Earth, 3 scientists plus 1 normal guy, but whatever.
Yeah.
And then they go on, and it seems like just from the trailer that it's like they're just retelling the same story just with a new team. And I'm like, but you just acknowledged that the original happened, so which is it? Is it a sequel? Is it a reboot? I don't know. And quite frankly, I'm kind of disinclined to care, because I didn't want this reboot. I didn't ask for it.
Yeah.
I don't need it. So, shrug. You can't see me, but I'm shrugging.
Yeah. And I think maybe I'm speculating, but I'm thinking there's probably going to be some surprises, and that's why it may seem confused, because they're trying to keep the cards held very close to the chest as far as how exactly this fits in the whole ghost. But I agree, they acknowledged 30 years ago there was a ghost, that we got the first movie, and now 30 years later we've got these ladies doing the same job, but they're not. I know a lot of people were very concerned that it was going to be a shot. I was concerned that it was going to seem like a shot for shot remake. It doesn't seem like it's. I mean, there's obviously a lot of nods to the original. They've got the proton packs. Slimer makes an appearance. They've got the car. In this case, it's a hearse. But
and they're still calling it Ecto-1.
Yeah, it's Ecto-1. They're based in New York.
But I'm like, okay, so how did they get this idea to be Ghostbusters? I understand, like, they're scientists and they've studied this. I'm like, are they piggybacking the research off what the original Ghostbusters
See, and that's what we don't know.
And that's where they got the logo and the car and the proton packs and all that stuff. Or is like, see that's kind of where I get a little confused. Is like, if they inherited it, or they bought the company from the original team who retired or whatever. Okay, that's fine. But I don't get the feeling that they've done this. It feels like they're starting from scratch, just like the original team did. And so that's what makes me think it's a reboot. But you're acknowledging what came before. So I'm like, it doesn't make sense in my head. And so, if the trailer has me confused, it's not a confused of, I want to find out. It's like, it's a confused of, do you even know what you're doing with your story? This was a concern I had before I even knew who was going to be in it, who was going to be directing. And they said, we want a new Ghostbusters movie. And I'm like, why? And then, they announced it's going to be all female. It's like, I don't care. Why do we need a new Ghostbusters movie? Paul, what's his bucket? I can't say his last name, is directing it. Oh, he's funny. He's got Melissa McCarthy and all these people. I'm like, I don't really like his movies, but why are you giving it to him? I don't know.
No. I'm reserving judgment.
I'm just being a grumpy bear.
Yeah.
I love the original. Why are you touching it? Why are you messing with it?
Maybe I don't have the fondness.
Sorry. I don't mean to I know you guys are like being, diplomatic about it, and I'm just like not interested in being diplomatic.
I don't have the fondness for the original that other people do, so maybe that's why I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll give it a shot and then see if I like it. But if it was other movies, like Back to the Future, I totally understand that. Like, don't touch Back to the Future. But Ghostbusters, I'm like, yeah, sure.
I feel the same way about Back to the Future, Ghostbusters, as I do about Back to the Future. Yeah. Maybe not quite as much as Back to the Future, but Ghostbusters occupies that spot in my heart. And I'm just like, really? Yeah. You had to. Why? Can't you come up with something new? No, we're Hollywood. We have to recycle all our everybody's good ideas from 20, 30, 40 years ago. We can't come up with anything new. What are you, nuts?
Well, and then when they do try to come up with something new, it's usually crap. So
yeah. It's like, what do you think we are, novelists who actually, have an original idea in our brains? Come on.
No, never. Anyway, yeah. Well, in happier trailers.
Yes.
And things we actually do want.
Yes.
We got our first full trailer for Finding Dory.
Which looks cute.
Courtesy of Ellen DeGeneres.
This one.
Oh. Yeah, of the two, I'm like, yay, Dory! I'm definitely I love Dory as a character, and I think Ellen DeGeneres just, plays her to a T, and she's a fantastic character, and I'm so excited to get, a Dory origin story, essentially.
Well, it's so funny, because was it John Lasseter, I think, they were interviewing him and about the movie, and he was saying, this movie came from, like, you don't know where ideas come from, and this came from, like, one little throwaway joke in Finding Nemo where, Dory said this. It's like, short-term memory loss, it runs in my family. Well, I think it does. Where are they? And that was the idea that spawned an entire movie, and it's like, okay.
Yep.
So, so it's kind of interesting. I love that one little seemingly throwaway line. It's become its own thing now.
Yeah. Well, and Ellen has been wanting this to happen for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yep.
I know when they made the official announcement, it was actually happening, and like I think on her YouTube channel you can see the announcement, and like leading up to it, you see like all of the clips every time on her show. She's mentioned that she wants a Dory movie. She's
And
like,
now it's happening.
now it's actually happening. So,
Yep.
so, yay! More Pixar, more feels. Oh.
More Pixar is always a good thing. Even
probable Oscar winner, considering they won for Inside Out. So.
Yep. I still haven't seen The Good Dinosaur, but my time to go to the movies has
Well,
been
apparently
split.
Zootopia is just raking it in left and right. So
I know.
I know that's not a Pixar movie, but still, it's just Disney in general is just raking in the dollars.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, there you go. There's an original idea.
Mm-hmm.
Disney. Anyway, not to beat that dead horse, but
Disney's different. They're on their own plane of existence.
This is true. Disney just knows how to. They wrote the book.
Yes. On originality.
Especially animated movies.
Yeah.
So
well, Pixar.
Everyone else just playing catch up.
Yeah.
So there. Anyway, our next bit of news.
Remakes. Reboots.
Reboots.
Things we may not want.
Interesting. Well, I'm iffy on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
So Nickelodeon announced 2 new made-for-TV movies, Legends of the Hidden Temple and Hey Arnold. Hey Arnold, I get, a made-for-TV movie, which is supposed to be a 2-part TV movie, which is going to be interesting how they did it, but whatever. And that one's like supposed to wrap up, who were Arnold's parents and why did he get left with his grandparents and his backstory, which I can't remember how long the show went for, like 4 or 5 years, maybe more, and they never explored that. Well, they kind of did, but they kind of didn't.
Yeah, they left it hanging.
Yeah, left it hanging. But a movie about Legends of the Hidden Temple, which if you don't know.
Was the best game show ever on Nickelodeon.
Yes, it was.
It was a game show, and I'm like, okay, but I realize it's got its own mythology, and there's artifacts in the temple, and they have when you start out, you got to cross the moat. There's that he tells the legends of whatever that particular episode's dealing with, and then they have the steps of knowledge, and you have to answer the questions, and then you have the temple games to earn the pendants of life so that you can make it through the temple successfully to bring back the artifact, and you win fabulous prizes and things. So I'm like, okay, that makes sense because there's a little bit of mythology backstory to this, but a movie about a game show. Okay.
Well, we do have movies about actual board games, so
yeah, that's true.
That's true. Varying degrees of quality. So, and again, this is a Nickelodeon made-for-TV movie, so it's going to be, if you've watched Nickelodeon shows in the last, few years, well, I don't like to say, it's not the Nickelodeon of my childhood.
They're riding the SpongeBob train to Banktown is what Nickelodeon is doing.
Yeah, I know, and then, Legends of Korra gets shunted off onto online, but never mind, that's over and done with. But anyway, I'm interested, but I'm also nervous because I'm like, why couldn't you just do a reboot of the game show, but then...
And let adults play.
Yeah, and let adults play.
So I can play.
Well, I went on YouTube to look up, because they do have a few episodes of Legends of the Hidden Temple from back then on YouTube to watch, and I watched a few, and I'm like, oh, wow, all the prizes that they gave people,
oh, yes.
Land and a pool table is kind of cool, or ring pops, and I'm like, wow, this is, way dated.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's, I don't know, it's so funny, the show itself, it doesn't seem like it's dated, but then you have the commercials, and that always dates it.
Yeah.
But but yeah, and I watched the video of Black Nerd Comedy talking about these two. And it was funny. He was like, just bring back Olmec and have D. Bradley Baker voice him again. And I'm like, yes, do that. And then you could have your teeny bopper preteen kids running around and doing whatever it is they're worried about, and
I imagine it's going to be like some sort of like Indiana Jones type feel to it. Would be my guess.
I would hope so, because that's kind of what the whole show is based on. It's like an Indiana Jones sort of thing for kids. It's kind of like, okay, so how do a bunch of kids end up in the jungle searching for whatever legend treasure thing? It would be this. So so it's going to be down to like, what do they choose? Like they could have some interesting villains, like maybe the temple guards have been poisoned and turned against the temple and taken over. I don't know. I'm just thinking of what they could do.
Dear Nickelodeon, if you need idea makers, please email us.
Hey, we're available.
Yep.
We can pitch you something.
Yep.
They probably have it already pitched.
Probably.
And I wonder if maybe this is like a backdoor pilot. Like maybe they're making a new TV show, and it's not the game show, but it's a TV show about the temple and all the different legends. Maybe they're bringing it back that way. I don't know. That would be cool.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That would be cool.
Although
I want them to bring back the game show so I can play on it.
I would fail, though.
I don't think I could make it, because one of them that I saw was you have to cross the moat on the wobbly bridge. You have to crawl. If you fall off, you have to start over. I would fall off in the first 2 steps. And I would never get it.
Yeah, they need to adjust some of the physical feats for us older folks whose knees and stuff don't work quite the same as they used to.
Like there was one team. There's one team of kids I watched. There's the 2 teams, and at the Steps of Knowledge, there was like the boy, the guy was like, he was like on the ball with every single question. But then when they got to the temple games, the physical part of it, he just was not able to figure it out. They didn't win, which was sad. So I'm like, oh, I want them to win. And I mean, this is an episode from 20 plus years ago. And this kid's probably, has a job and married and has his own kids possibly or whatever. And I'm like cheering for him from. It's like watching Game Show Network from all those shows from the 70s and 80s. It's like, oh, you idiot! Why'd you say that? Well, it's already been done. This is a rerun.
Yeah, very rerun. Okay, question. Mm-hmm. What team did you want to be on?
The Blue Barracudas.
Yes, the Blue Barracudas are cool, but I like the Jaguars.
I was always torn between the Blue Barracudas and the Purple Parrots. Because I like both colors.
I always wait for the Blue Barracudas, no matter what.
Yeah. Well, like I was thinking about it, I'm like, wasn't there an orange one? Orange iguanas. Oh yeah, that's the one we always forget.
Yeah.
And then
because nobody wants to be them, apparently.
I guess not.
No one wants to be an orange iguana. Oh, bye. Memories. Anyway.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh.
Anyway.
But Nickelodeon, if you do want to bring back the game show, I will gladly be a purple parrot. I'm just saying. Just my knees don't work quite the same way they used to. Just take that into account.
I think you can buy a t-shirt you can pretend you are.
Oh, I've seen people cosplay with they have the pendants. Like they made the pendants and they wear the helmet, and the knee and the elbow guards that you wear so you don't get injured going through the temple. Yeah, I've seen it. So I'll have to find it and I'll post a picture so you guys can see it. I'll put it in the show notes.
Oh, one other trailer that came out this morning, basically. And 3 of Sailor Moon Crystal. It's like a 30-second trailer. So it's for the Infinity Arc.
Yeah.
If that means anything.
Yeah.
But
Oh.
yeah, so it looks pretty cool. There's going to be like a new theme song and stuff. So
Cool.
I'll put a link to the.
Yeah.
I
And-
just remembered that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
Well, does it-
the other thing we left out, but I know we'd already posted on our Facebook Facebook page, is that Fuller House has already been renewed for a second season. It wasn't even on Netflix a
Take that,
week,
Brittany.
and it got renewed for a second season. That is, I've
Yeah,
never
I saw-
seen a
I
TV
saw-
show get renewed that fast. Ever. Not that I'm complaining, because I love
Well-
it, but I was like,
yeah,
it hasn't even been out a week.
I started rewatching the series. I finished episode 5.
Yeah,
I'm watching it, and I'm like, because I love it.
yeah,
It's so good. And the critics can all just go stuff it,
yeah.
because they don't like the original, and that's fine. It's not made for them.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Anyway. Moving on. Well, that's it for news. Some housekeeping, though. I know we've already started it, but this month's photo challenge is...
Yeah, this month's photo challenge is the ABCs of musicals, which Chrissy's sister, Shaylin, gave me this idea like months ago, but finally had a chance to put it in for this month. And it's not too late if you haven't started and want to. I got some awesome choices already, so...
Mm-hmm.
And as always, there's not really any rules.
Yeah. Not for this one. We have one planned for May that will have a few rules just based on the subject matter for spoiler reasons, but we'll get to that when we get to May. So, and Holly is not here, obviously, but the book club choice for the month is Deep Time by Trevor Baxendale. So grab your copy if you haven't already and come join the thread. It's already been started on Goodreads, so we'll post a link to that.
Prologue.
So. But now I know what I'll get to that in a minute. Anyway. I couldn't remember what it was, or I didn't know what it was when I was out and could have got a copy of whatever had won. So, fail on my part, but that's okay. Anyway.
Yeah, well, I went out for that specifically and ended up getting another couple of books that I wasn't planning on, namely The Complete Sherlock Holmes and a book written by William Shatner about Leonard Nimoy, like their friendship.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
So I was going to the science fiction section to get Deep Time, and I passed by a bunch of Sherlock Holmes books. I'm like, huh. And there was one that was like everything written by Arthur Conan Doyle. I'm like, that's interesting. I'll take that. And I got the book, and then I was on my way to the cash, and I saw the book, the Leonard, which is like, it's just the book by William Shatner is just called Leonard. So, and I'm like, ooh, that. So I picked it up, I looked at it, and I'm like, ooh, that's interesting. I'll take that. And I spent more money than I intended, but oh well.
A geek in a bookstore is like going to the grocery store when hungry. It's a bad idea.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm just going to go in and get milk and bread. Next thing you know, you've got a cart full of chips and frozen pizza, and you hate yourself. But yeah, it is what it is.
Well, the worst was today, because there's a bunch of my favorite authors I follow on Facebook, and sometimes they'll post about, this book of mine that I wrote several years ago, it's discounted on Kindle. If you don't have it, you get it for like 99 cents or $1.99 or something. And one of the authors I have, she says, I saw a post where she's like, look, all my books from 20 some odd years ago, well, maybe more like 50, that I wrote all those years ago, they're all discounted by like $1.99, $2.99, and I'm like, ooh, there's like 7 of them, and I'm like, I should. Click.
Yeah, well,
Click.
next month there's a read self-published thing going on where people are only reading self-published books, and I kind of agreed to do that. So today I was going through and finding books for that, and I bought like 4.
Oh, I actually, if you're looking for somebody for that, I actually have a friend. He's in our weekly D&D group. He writes fantasy, like kind of middle grade stuff, and I'm not sure if it's self-published or indie published. I know he's an indie publisher or
I think indie published counts as self-published.
Okay, yeah. I should know
it's all in that kind of not a big publishing house type.
Yeah. Like, Jared's got a bunch of friends. He networks in those realms, so I know I've gleaned some facts here and there about it. Anyway, so if anyone's looking for authors to read for that, I know some people.
Yeah, if you're participating in Read Self-Published, which check out the hashtag Read Self-Published on Tumblr for recommendations, information, what people are reading. Because there are people who have posted lists of what books they're reading to read self-published.
Yep. And it's not like, years ago when you're like, oh, self-publish, it's really crappy because you couldn't get an actual publishing deal. Now that you have like, Amazon and Kindle, you can publish yourself and, put it up for 99 cents and people will buy it. And, you have to kind of do your own marketing and get the word out there. So it's a little more difficult, but it's doable. And there are plenty of authors who, they make varying degrees of money from this. So it's kind of cool now. And there was one author that I know of just in the last month that he lost his entire publishing contract just because he wrote one chapter of a book that politically his publishers didn't agree with, but the rest of the book was fine, even though they had asked for this. This was like a prequel to a book that he had written that was pretty successful for them. So he went ahead and published it himself, and he told people what happened and how his contract had been canceled and like without any real reason other than his publishers were mad about one little thing that he wrote about in his book. So and I think he actually ended up getting a lot more sales for the prequel than he did the original book. So it's like, way to go, publishers. They were like trying to keep this book from ever being published, and it's like, censorship really sucks. And when you're the one that's trying to perpetrate it, you kind of look like a small-minded, bigoted idiot. So don't do that. Anyway. So yay books.
Yay, yeah, yay books.
Yay books.
Yeah.
I miss reading.
Somewhat segues into, speaking of people who create their own content.
Yay!
Yeah. We'll share the link for the Indiegogo page, but the so talented folks who make the super cute and clever Dr. Puppet videos on YouTube. You've seen them on YouTube or on Facebook. Go like their Facebook page if you haven't. But they are looking for help to fund the next, the final episode of their season and subsequent seasons after. Because they are, they do everything themselves in-house. They do the music, they make all the puppets and all the sets, and they go to conventions to, get the word out and that sort of thing. So they got an Indiegogo campaign going, and you can pledge anything from a couple bucks and just get a thank you all the way up to several $1,000s, and you'll get your own custom puppet. So
if you have just a couple $1,000s just lying around in your couch cushions, you
yes,
can totally get a Dr. Puppet of your own.
Yes, that looks like you, if you want. they will make it to your specifications. So, and then of course there's stuff in between, getting thank you video or get a used puppet arm, because apparently the puppet arms don't have a very long working life once they've been created because it's all stop motion. So, just a couple of seconds of video is, probably a couple hundred movements for the puppet. And so therefore, the wire and all everything they use can only handle being handled for so long. So hence why they need so much money. So.
Yeah. And these are professional puppeteers. Like a while ago, I heard there was an interview with the creator, and I'm blanking on her name. She was on a Verity podcast some time ago, and she's talking about the process of making puppets, and she does this professionally for like local children's programming, and then she just kind of turned it into, I can make Doctor Who puppets and things like that, and it's just kind of ballooned into something else. It's even been acknowledged by the BBC officially. So it's. I mean, they don't make any money doing this. They just need money to keep it going. So if you enjoy it, which I don't see why you wouldn't enjoy it unless you just have no heart.
Yeah.
They're cute.
They are.
Yeah.
They're adorable.
So yeah, if you
Like,
have
a new episode came out recently.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. So.
We should
But
watch that.
they're very talented, so yeah. Help support independent content creators, especially Doctor Who fans.
yes.
Speaking of Doctor Who, if you saw it on our Facebook page, I shared a few pictures, and then I also shared their pictures too. But the new location for Who North America is open for business.
Woo! Congratulations, North America.
Yeah, so it is, the retail part is open. That was the priority, to get that open so that they could get shoppers to come in and spend money to help pay for everything else. But they got everything.
Yeah.
They got everything moved over. I didn't have to lift a thing. I don't know how that happened, but go me, I guess. I stopped by the first day that they were open last week, because I have to, and it's a nice location. It used to be a place that sold furs. Here, and I remember actually seeing the fur company, seeing commercials for it on like my local PBS station when watching reruns of Are You Being Served and that sort of thing on PBS. But I think they'd gone out of business and the building sat, and they ended up acquiring the building and the property, which the property ended up being way bigger than they thought. They thought they were getting the building and like the parking lot and maybe some of the grass, but they ended up with 2 acres of land, which is way more than they actually need. But Janie has all sorts of plans for utilizing as much of it as possible. But they've got the retail part open. It's way more open and bright and easier to browse the racks of merchandise, because they're able to have just individual racks, like this is just Torchwood and this is just books, and that, instead of just having super long aisles just full of stuff and they were narrow. They've got better environmental now, so they can control the temperature better, so it's more comfortable that way. And then they're working on getting the museum put back together. So the museum's going to have its own wing. The building actually, it's funny because Janie said it's like the TARDIS, because you come up to the building and it looks like it's one size, and you go in and it actually is bigger on the inside.
Nice.
And their TARDIS is right there. You can see it from the door. They've got a big sign out front with Who North America and the URL for the website, and a big old TARDIS on it. So
It's a nice sign.
It's a nice sign. So even if you can't read what it's saying coming down the road, you will see that TARDIS. And Janie, I came later in the day, and Janie said that they had several people that had driven by, see the sign, turned around, and came back. So it is getting people's
that is
attention.
How you advertise.
Yes. It'll be even better once they have lights, so that the sign can be lit all the time, especially after it gets dark. But like I said, work to be done. So they're working on the museum. The arcade is temporarily set up with the Doctor Who pinball machine, but that is actually going to move to a different spot later. They've got huge space to do like birthday parties or special events. The screening room is actually going in one of the vaults. There's 2 vaults in the building, and one of them is going to be the screening room. So when you come and want to watch Doctor Who, you have to go into one of the vaults to do it, which is kind of cool. And then
vault, I think of Fallout.
Yeah.
Where a vault is something very
It looks like a bank vault. It looks like something out of like Ocean's 11 or something. The other vault just leads to storage.
It was the vault in the Lethbridge Stewart novels.
That would do it too.
Yeah. So, and then they've got space for cosplay. Like people come in and do crafts or cosplay tutorials and that sort of thing. We got friends who that are professional cosplayers and professional costumers, and have offered to come in and do tutorials and crafts and stuff. And they've got way bigger space for shipping and receiving. And Janie's got an office with a skylight. She's very proud. And eventually they're gonna have a little kitchen. They've got their bigger bathrooms. So it's just, there's a lot of work still to be done. The outside of the building still needs to be painted. Once you get up to it, the building is just this brown color, and it still has a faint outline of Vincent furs on the building, where it's not completely worn off. Eventually the building's gonna be, once the weather cooperates,
they're gonna paint over it.
They're gonna paint over it TARDIS blue, of course. And then
sure.
Yeah, and then Janie's got plans for the landscaping, which may or may not include weeping angels, scarecrows, and Amy and Roy's headstone. So I told her that's very cruel. That she's very determined to have Amy and Roy's headstone as part of the landscape. I told her that's mean, but she's very excited about it. I also told her an image of an angel becomes an angel, so she's pretty much dooming us all by putting weeping angel in the landscaping. But she would not.
How can you resist doing that?
I know. So, but the biggest thing is, people that they're open. They're working. They're playing with the store hours to see what works best as far as traffic. What hours seem to get the most number of people, and what people say works best for them, that sort of thing. Stay tuned to their Facebook page for the latest updates as far as store hours.
Because before they just kind of opened randomly, like, oh, hey, this weekend we're having open house.
Yes. Yeah. But eventually they want to have regular store hours. I don't think it's going to be 7 days a week. It'll probably be closer to 5, probably.
Okay.
Right now, I think they're working on like Wednesday through Sunday type hours, but that may shift. So, like I said, stay tuned to their Facebook page. You can I think you can still sign up for their newsletter on their website. The website's getting redesigned as well. Keith showed me a preview. He's still working on the coding and everything for it. But the new website looks very cool and should be much easier to navigate as well. Because he's going with a new design, completely new design. So, but I'm excited. I'm excited for them. I'm excited to see what they do with it as far as the decor and painting and making it very more Doctor Who-ish. And they have plans for a big official grand opening later this summer, but no time frame because right now all the work needs to be done and Mother Nature is not cooperating with things like painting and doing the parking lot.
Yeah.
Because Old Man Winter does not want to leave Indiana. No.
Jeez, didn't the groundhog say he didn't see his shadow or whatever?
Yeah, well,
Or he saw his shadow?
yeah, well, he said winter would come 6 weeks early, not instantaneous. So, but if you're in the area and they're open, stop by, say hello, buy something, if you're so inclined. So it's exciting, and it's closer.
There.
It's closer to me now than their old location, so I'm going to be there way more often.
Your poor wallet.
I know. That's okay.
I mean, well, it's funny because I'm like, I've never been to Indiana, and so obviously I've never been to Who North America, but like you talking about it and all the support, well, you know, the cooperation they've given us and letting you record at like their booth at cons and at the store. It's like, oh, they're kind of like family.
Mm-hmm.
They're friends of the show.
They are friends of the show, and they do consider me family. Actually, Janie says I'm her sister. 'Cause I'm too old to be one of her kids, so she says I'm her sister. Her adopted sister.
Nice. That works.
Yeah, well, they're good people. So just like the you know the folks who do Dr. Puppet, they're Doctor Who fans, just trying to make a living, you know, doing things that make Doctor Who fans happy. So support the local family-owned businesses and independent creators and Doctor Who fans, because the Doctor Who fandom is awesome and we should all support each other.
Woot woot.
Woot woot. No.
Indeed.
Yeah. No. Alrighty then. That's it for news and housekeeping. So let's move on to this week's topic, which is Agent Carter is now done.
Peggy!
I'm sad that Peggy is done. At the same time, I'm also excited because I'm so ready to have Coulson back on my TV on a regular basis. Because I love me some Phil Coulson, but it's not about Phil right now. We're talking about Peggy.
Yep. It's funny. Marvel's like, okay, you know, we're done with Peggy. We're gonna go put her back in the toy box. Hey, look, Shield's coming back. So it's not like they leave you bereft
Exactly.
for very long.
Exactly. No withdrawals here with the Marvel fandom, unlike Doctor Who. But anyway, so
we've ranted about that already.
Yeah. Anyway, Peggy.
So, Agent Carter.
Yeah. Peggy once again saves the day, as we expect her to do. But she had a lot of help this time. So
I think that's why I like this season. Like, don't get me wrong, I liked last season. It was great. I mean, it was like, you know, getting us back into that part of the Marvel world and reintroducing familiar characters and new ones. I liked this one because it's like we've got, you know, Peggy's established, Jarvis and Sousa and Thompson, and now we get to go see new characters, and they're so much fun. Like, and now I'm blanking on everybody's name. I just think it's that kind of thing. the scientist at the SSR, the kind of goofy guy.
Yeah, Aloysius.
Yeah.
Samberly, I think is his last name. Samberly?
Yeah, Samberly.
Yeah.
And then, was it Rose?
Rose.
She's
Rose got more to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love her. I was so glad they pulled her in, and she's not just,
the receptionist.
Keeping the outside. Yeah, she's a receptionist, and she's watching all the theatrical acts come in, and she's like, well, okay, we'll call you, but we really won't call you.
Yeah.
It's not just a joke. She actually gets to do something. And I'm like, oh, the show. And we get to meet Mrs. Jarvis, too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anna. She's adorable.
Which she and Jarvis have, like, the cutest relationship. Actually, she reminds me of me and Chauncey, where Chauncey's like, I'm going to go invent this thing. And like, okay, honey, have fun. I'll make you a sandwich.
I know. And she's like, okay, you go. You know, you're he's off, you know, having adventures with Peggy, and she's like, okay, dear, you go along. And like at the end, when she's in the hospital and everything, and Jarvis is like, no, I need to be here with you. And she's all, no, you need to go help. You need to go help Peggy. And she's like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do here? I have doctors to take care of me. You go.
Mm-hmm. Wife of the year goes to Anna Jarvis. Wife of the century, maybe. So, and Jarvis knows he's got a good thing there.
Yes.
That's the nice thing about it, is he does not, you know, sell her short on how amazing of a wife she is.
Well, I love that she was like she's not like, ooh, you're hanging out with this woman and like super jealous and catty and whatever. And I'm like, no, she and Peggy are like best friends right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
And like she gets what her husband does, and she's cool with it. And she even tries to help in her own way, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, we got that nice little flashback when he's like, for like the first time he talks to Peggy on the phone after Howard brings Peggy in, and Anna assumes it's a guy, and then Jarvis is like, no, it's a she, and of course Anna thinks, oh well, it's a woman, it's Howard. Yeah. Put two, you know, 1 and 1 makes 2, and Jarvis is all like, no, I actually think he respects her.
Which
says a lot about Howard.
Just as much about Howard as it does about Peggy.
Yes.
Howard is not a nice person. We just think he's funny.
Yeah.
Because he's Howard.
Howard is a cad. With a capital C. But we'll get to Howard's antics in the finale here in a minute.
We still love it, but we're just like, really, Howard?
Yeah, well, and now we know with Tony that the apple does not fall far from the tree. As much as Tony complains about how his Howard was a terrible father, Tony takes right after Howard.
I think it's like, you know, your family members that you're the most alike, or you're the most like, you butt heads with the most.
Probably.
And Howard, to my knowledge, did not have, you know, the traumatic experience that Tony did with getting kidnapped and nearly killed, and you know, that moral conscience compass spinning in the other direction. So yeah, I mean, Howard's a good man. He just has some very questionable morals.
Yeah. Like I said, I need to find that website, but there was I think it's a more of a web page that they'd put up like the best quotes from each episode of Agent Carter, and for the finale it was several quotes from Howard. And they were using the hashtag Howard's top priority.
Like mustard.
Yes, like mustard. So. But again, we'll get to that now.
Yeah, say this for Howard Stark, he is full of surprises. He is not... I mean, we think he's predictable. He's really not.
No. Mm-hmm. I think he likes to think he is, but he's not. Mm-hmm. And that's the difference. So. Yeah. But, yeah, so I know when we were talking about, you know, at the beginning of the season, the whole thing with Thompson, and you know, whether he would see the light or and get his head out of his rear end. Kinda, but it's still come back to bite him in the butt.
Yes.
And not in a good way, maybe.
No.
We'll see. But that certainly left, was able to create some twists and turns leading up to the finale, and this whole thing with Whitney Frost and, you know, some of these other characters that eventually Whitney, you know, as Whitney got stronger, these characters kept getting bumped off. So the cast got smaller, which made it a little easier. for us as the viewers to try and keep track, because we started with the council of the old character actors. It's like, hey, I've seen you in something before. I don't know your name, but I know you from that thing. Type of people.
You were that guy in
yeah,
that show with the thing.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, Whitney ended up not bumping most of them off. Like, then eventually killed off her husband when he tried to double cross her. Bad idea.
And ended up with a new beau who
was an old beau.
like, okay, you're just, yeah, that's true. But at first I thought, oh, you're just dumb muscle, but then it turns out, no, he actually does care about her.
Mm-hmm.
And he's, he's genuinely concerned, and he's not just an idiot. And I'm like, oh, I kind of like you now, even though you were trying to kill everybody before.
So, but yeah, he did. I mean, it did seem like he was just dumb muscle. Your typical Italian mobster or New York mobster with the ma that obviously is very stern but apparently makes a very, very good meatball. I love that bit with the scene when they're in the kitchen and Peggy's trying to hunt him down so that they can deliver a message to Whitney Frost. And he's arguing with his mom about a recipe or something. And you just see through the window of the kitchen door, Peggy just like all of his Goonies just tearing him apart. It's hilarious. So, which I think let him know that Peggy is not someone to be messed with. Smart on Peggy's part. But yeah, and then what's his face? Vernon got his too, although he got to get a dig in Peggy.
I kept forgetting he was there, and then he'd show up and like, oh yeah, we have to deal with you, because I was so involved with the Whitney Frost Zero Matters thing. And
I think he was there to bridge Peggy and Whitney and all of that with Thompson. He was kind of the conduit for the two. Because he was totally feeding into Thompson's, male ego of the era, pumping him full of all these dreams and aspirations and promises that he could eventually be head of the FBI if he wanted to, if he stuck with the right people, which, I just wanted to slap Jack around like, don't, there's more to life than a promotion.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, do you have to? Like, here's the thing: it's like we have all these really interesting characters who don't conform to the whole stereotype thing. Like Anna Jarvis, she's not, the catty jealous type. And you have Howard Stark. He's the cad, but he's really smart. And Jarvis is, he's Peggy's friend, but he also doesn't just, follow Peggy blindly either. And then you've got Jack Thompson, and he's like, oh, I'm just going to do whatever my superiors tell me to because I'm in it for the promotion, and Peggy is dumb because she's a girl, or whatever they were going for with that. And I'm just like, do we really have to have that character?
Apparently.
I don't know. Apparently.
Yeah, because, they do such a good job with the bringing in these unique characters that don't necessarily fit the mold you would expect them to fit it. It's like when we first meet Whitney Frost, we think, oh, she's the politician's wife. She's a movie star. Yeah, she's just the dumb blonde. She's the pretty face for the, the publicity photos.
And she turns out to be, a nuclear physicist.
Yeah, and a freaking genius. Like, as smart as Howard Stark, maybe if not smarter. Which says a lot.
Yeah. And And then I was waiting for Jack Thompson to kind of turn over a leaf and be like, okay, I'm not going to be like I see what all these other guys are doing. I'm not going to be that guy anymore. And he almost made it. Not quite.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Well.
But that's okay.
He may get a chance to redeem himself if he survives. His fate is still up in the air.
Very big if.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've got a.
Well, you try to blackmail Peggy Carter, you're asking for trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I would hope that whoever shot Jack is maybe also someone after Peggy, and not necessarily someone, because I know Peggy, had said that she would shoot Jack if he had tried to blow up the
feet that were leaving, they didn't look like Peggy's feet, even if she, wore
men's pants and men's shoes,
men's slacks, shoes. It's like, no, that wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, I've got a couple of links that we'll put in the show notes as well. There is an interview with Haley Atwell, and there's another one with the producers. And apparently, James Darcy, who plays Jarvis, knew what went sneaking around and got into the writers' notes or something, and found out what was in the file.
Oh.
But didn't tell Haley until after they were done filming. So both Jarvis and Peggy know what was in that file and what was redacted from that file. And Haley has said that it's big. It's not necessarily, it doesn't necessarily change fundamentally who she thinks Peggy is, but it is something very important that happened in Peggy's past. And will hopefully be the thing they explore if Agent Carter gets season 3. As I'm crossing my fingers.
I have seen reports that does seem likely, even though, supposedly the ratings were not as good as they should have been, but they are. It does sound like they are going to get a season 3.
Yay!
Hopefully, possibly. It's more strongly rumored than it was before. Let's say that.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, one of the things I really liked about the season was that episode, and I had to binge watch a few things because I missed parts of the season because I was out of town. There was that one episode, episode 4, probably 5, where they went back into Peggy's past and also explored Whitney Frost's origin as well. And, the whole kind of drawing parallels between the hero and the villain, through their past. And it reminded me of one of the best episodes of Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's one of the earlier episodes where they look at Aang's past and Zuko's past, and kind of they had similar choices or similar situations, similar choices to make, and they made such different choices that they became who they are, and it informed on their characters throughout the rest of the series. That's kind of what I feel like happened in this episode, where you see, Peggy was, she was a code breaker, basically a secretary in World War II. She's getting married, and she had, everything that made a woman a success in that time period. And then she gets, her brother gets her a job. Now I can't remember what the organization was called, but it was
it was the SOE at the time.
Yeah. And it's how she ended up being, working with the Super Soldier program in Captain America, and she had the loving family unit and everything, and then you have Whitney Frost, who's Agnes. Her real name's Agnes. Can't remember her last name now. She's in Oklahoma, and they're very poor. Her mother, her biological father's not in the picture. Her mother has this really sleazy, scuzzy guy that's living in the house, and she's like, don't upset him. You need to make him happy. And he walks out on him, and her mother they don't care that she's this child prodigy and is putting together taking radios apart and putting them back together and all this kind of thing. So it's like, you know, Peggy and Whitney were both very gifted early in life, and, you know, Peggy's family noticed that and took interest in it, and Whitney's family, her mother, didn't. And it's just fascinating. I love those kind of character story episodes. They're fun to watch, and when they're really well done, it's exciting. And it goes to show, like, you know, the care and how much, you know, work goes into building these characters and making them interesting, and not just, oh, you know, here's Marvel, here's their, you know, female-led show, and you know, this is what this stereotype's going to be. Like, no, they're actually making it fun and interesting for everybody, and it doesn't matter, like, what gender anybody is or any of that, you know, census box ticky off stuff that people keep wanting to see.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, That's my thought.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love the fact that we got some Peggy backstory. You know, it doesn't surprise me we got the Whitney Frost backstory, because we saw the same thing with Dottie when we got the history of the Red Room, essentially in the Black Widow program, you know, however many decades before Natasha Romanoff went through it. So we expect to get some villain backstory, at least our main villain. You know, we got all these side characters, you know, like her mobster boyfriend and Vernon and all that, but, you know, their backstory I don't think really matters. But we finally got some Peggy backstory, and, you know, now that we've had, you know, obviously, you know, Captain America: First Avenger, Peggy's been in Winter Soldier, Peggy makes a short appearance in Ant-Man, so, you know, the people that maybe have enjoyed Peggy as a character in the movies and they're not watching Agent Carter, they're missing on some very good character backstory there for that character. So, and if we get a season 3, that we'll get even more on whatever it was that was in this file. And we still have, the thing is we're also, you know, with each season of Agent Carter, we're getting more of what happened to Peggy after the events in the first Captain America movie, up to the one shot, because where the one shot is where everything changes and she eventually, you know, she becomes part of actual SHIELD. And then, so we're filling that in, but at the same time, it's also helping fill in Peggy pre-Captain America, and then also helping us eventually, maybe, will fill in what happened between the one shot and old Peggy in Winter Soldier. And, you know, because we know that Peggy has, she does get married at some point. Because she mentions that she actually mentions that Steve saved her husband. Where and when that actually occurs, we don't know, because we don't know who it is she actually ends up with, who that husband is. And as far as we can tell, you know, Haley doesn't even know. I think the producers have an idea, but they're not spilling any beans. Haley's loving her Peggy and Sousa together. But she doesn't know if Sousa actually ends up being the husband that she's referring to in Winter Soldier, or if, you know, her and Sousa have a hot and steamy affair and then it fizzles out and they realize they're better off being as friends. We don't know.
It could be anything.
It could be anything. But it's just one of those things. It's like we have the Peggy storyline with gaps. Huge gaps, and with every episode of Agent Carter and every appearance that she makes in the cinematic universe, and if we get any more one-shots, that we're getting more and more of that backstory. And, you know, I think I think that if Agent Carter is allowed to continue, that we'll get more of that, and I think it will help make a richer overall web for the MCU. But I'm also hoping that, especially specifically with what we dealt with this season with, in this case, it's called Zero Matter, but it's helping set the stage for Doctor Strange, which was already somewhat laid the groundwork for an Ant-Man with the whole, the suit and what happened to Hank Pym's wife, and Scott being able to do the same thing but actually come back from it. So that helps set the groundwork for Doctor Strange. Now this sets the groundwork even more for Doctor Strange. We're going to get Doctor Strange, in November of this year, and bringing in Doctor Strange and this I don't know if universe, but multi planes of existence within the MCU will help with leading up to Infinity War and the Infinity Gauntlet and the Jet and the Infinity Stones, because of the power that they possess, to be not just this universe, and not just this plane of existence, but other planes of existence and potentially other universes. So, and I hope that, if Agent Carter is allowed to continue that, and I really thought, I was hoping, or I didn't know if I really thought, but I was actually kind of hoping that maybe we'd get like a real, like, direct, like, Doctor Strange, like, maybe Doctor Strange, we'd get a voice or something. I don't know exactly how the whole Doctor Strange
Benedict would make a brief appearance.
Yeah, or something. I don't know how that would work, because I don't know Doctor Strange well enough, and I don't know enough about his timeline that, like, if he's even alive during the 40s or not, if because you're working with, like, magic and other extra paranormal stuff when you start getting into Doctor Strange, so that creates a whole other element of timey-wimey-ish stuff potentially.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, we've got Zero Matter. We've got whatever the heck it is Shield is dealing with. So it's like it. I'm sure we'll get a Doctor Strange nod, at least in this next round of Agents of Shield.
I'm hoping so. I mean, right now it looks like it's like really ramping up for Civil War, because we got this whole thing with the Inhumans and all that. But yeah, with knowing that Doctor Strange is coming, and we're starting to really get into the mystical type, otherworldly stuff, that it's like, this is all gonna come to head at some point, and it's gonna be a mess, and it's gonna be awesome, and it's gonna be like a train wreck, and I'm not gonna be able to turn away, and I'm excited and scared all at the same time. Because I just love this. I love this universe so much, and it's sometimes I have to, like, shake my head and realize, when I say stuff like that, because it's like, however 8 years ago, if you would have told me that I was going to become a fan of stuff based on comic books, I would have been like, you're nuts.
Well, and it just goes to show, like, again, the level of storytelling and character creation that we're dealing with here. It's not just, comic books, superheroes have cheesy catch, they, punch people in the face, and the villains are kind of dorky. I mean, they've actually figured out a way to make it cool and interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not that it wasn't before, but, it relates, it helps, the rest of us relate to it, who might maybe not so into comic book storylines and stuff like that. So, again, Marvel has this thing where they have actual fans of these characters. Now they're creating these stories, and they're doing a really good job. And that brings people like us, like Rachel and me and whoever else, like, we wouldn't necessarily been into comic book properties before, but now we're were interested in it. Now, like, oh, well, I want to read the comics. Help me figure out which one to start with.
Yeah.
Storylines to follow. But sure, I'm cool with this. I like this. I'm enjoying it, and I will watch every week. I will watch the show.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the deal is with everybody else. They just not know it's on.
I don't know.
Well, oh well, their loss.
Yeah. I just hope it's not our loss. No. That's the thing. So,
True.
but like you said, there are stirrings on. I've seen a few things on the internet that it might, hope is not completely lost. That we probably, maybe, sort of, kind of, absolutely might get a season 3. So, honestly, I don't know what else they get. I can't think of anything better to fill the gap in that mid-season break for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I mean,
how are they doing Marvel's Most Wanted? That's the only thing I could. Isn't that what it's called?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I got it right then.
Yeah.
I mean, is that going to be at the same time as S.H.I.E.L.D., or are they going to fill the gap with that?
I don't know.
Not that I don't like Bobby and Hunter, but I like Peggy too. I'm like, I want it all.
I know.
If nothing else, you can put it on Netflix. I mean, it doesn't have to be the nitty-gritty Daredevil, Jessica Jones type of thing. You can make it more family-friendly on TV. I mean, good grief, Netflix is doing Fuller House. They can have family-friendly,
and they can do short
stuff.
And they can do short seasons too, because I mean, how many episodes is Fuller House? Like 6, 10, something like that?
10, 12?
12 hours of TV.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
The
there's
Netflix format is very flexible.
Yeah.
Whatever the show lends itself to, you can do it.
Yeah. Well, and it helps that Daredevil and Jessica Jones, which are set in the same universe, are already on Netflix. So
Marvel actually has a thing with Netflix, although for some reason they don't have season 1 of Agent Carter on there, but that's another discussion because whatever. I don't like the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is on there. Come on, guys.
Yeah. I don't know what the holdup is with getting Agent Carter on Netflix, because it's, because if it was on Netflix, I bet that they would see it would. I would think it would get pretty decent numbers on Netflix.
Yeah, I think that's the thing why the ratings are so low, or people are like, oh, I want to watch it, but they've already had a season, and I want to watch that first, but I can't watch it yet because it's not really out on DVD. Well, I think Amazon had it exclusively. It was on ABC Go for a while, but I don't know if that's still the case. So it's like there's nowhere really for them to get it. Possibly iTunes, but. Yeah, I mean, they're making it difficult.
I have no idea.
So I'm like, that could be like, people don't think they can watch season 2. Like, well, you can watch season 2 without watching season 1. I mean, they're not really connected. They are, but they're not. You'll be fine.
Well, I mean, the fact that we've got Dottie, who...
Oh, well, yeah, Dottie. But I guess you could just say, oh,
She's the psychopathic female villain from the first season.
She's Black Widow if Black Widow didn't get a conscience later.
Yeah. Yeah, she's Black Widow from about 50 years before Black Widow. 50 to 60 years before Black Widow. So.
Yep.
Black Widow before Budapest.
Well,
maybe.
Agent Carter is on iTunes, at least up here.
Okay. So there's that.
Probably on iTunes in the States.
Probably.
Maybe.
Because I know Chauncey wouldn't sit down and watch it with me. He was always doing something else. Unlike Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., where he'll actually sit and watch it with me.
Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, season 1 is on.
Yeah.
On
He's seen, but as much as he loves Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so I know he would love Agent Carter. But
I might just have to just suck it up and buy it on iTunes, because it is. I think it's worth owning.
Yeah.
I would love to.
And
own the DVD, but
they would probably help extend its life too if they're seeing people buy it.
Yeah, that's true.
So.
I mean, this stuff I'm willing to purchase.
It's just one of those things. So.
Yeah.
I just wish we saw more Angie in season 2.
Yeah. But they've laid the groundwork for a season 3. I'm assuming with the hopes that a season 3 will happen at some point. At the same time, if we don't get any more, they could it could be left where it is. I mean, we'd never know whether Jack's alive or not, but considering my opinion of Jack at the moment, I'm kind of ambivalent about how he ends up.
They could open season 3 with his funeral, like, well, he's done. What's the next thing? And Susan is over SSR entirely.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I'd always, with the whole essentially practically betraying the SSR by siding with Vernon. I mean, even though Vernon was FBI, he was siding with the council or whatever their name was. He was mixed in with that lot, so he wasn't necessarily the nicest guy to begin with. So that was Jack was hanging out with the wrong kids at the playground.
So
it was like, I don't know how they could go back to life at the SSR with Jack being the chief, knowing what he did and essentially betrayed the SSR and Peggy and Sousa and all that. It's like, they really gonna let him go back and be Chief Thompson after all this? Because it was one thing for Jack to get all the pats on the back and the attaboys after taking the glory from Peggy at the end of season 1.
Yeah, that really.
But for it to happen again would really suck.
Yeah. I mean, the way Peggy dealt with that at the end of season 1 was like, okay, this makes it better. But yeah, you're right. The way it ended and having him go back and be the boss, that wouldn't have worked. So yeah, he needs to go.
Yeah. So whether he dies or his injuries just keep him from being able to fulfill his duties as chief, then
He could go be a phone operator.
Yeah, he could go work with Rose.
He can do that. That's his job now.
Yeah. I'm sure Rose would be more than happy to teach him the ropes.
Yep. And I am looking it up. Okay, so Agent Carter is on DVD, but only through Amazon.
Okay.
You can't buy it anywhere else. As far as I can tell. eBay maybe, but that's like, people reselling it.
Yeah.
But I'm not seeing Blu-ray anywhere. Just DVD.
I don't have a Blu-ray player anyway, so no skin off my back.
Well, I know some people like Blu-ray, so
yeah.
Comic book movie says so, but I don't see it like on Amazon anyway. And if it's not listed on Amazon, well, it's not available probably. But anyway, but you can get it on iTunes. That's about it.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully Peggy will be back. We shall find out in the next few months.
Haley Atwell has said that she wants to do both her new show and Agent Carter, and there's no reason they can't do both because Agent Carter is like it's basically a mini series.
Mm-hmm. So it's not filming a full 20+ episode season. It's something that they could film when she's not filming. So, I know that, the biggest thing would be Haley being available, obviously.
Well, Haley seems like with Haley and this character, she's like, she'll do anything.
Yes.
This is her priority.
Yeah. So.
Is playing Peggy Carter and being part of the Marvel family. Like this is her big thing, and she loves doing it. So
yes. Although
she'll crawl. This is the feeling I get from her, from hearing her talk about it and being on Twitter and things like that. Is she'll crawl on broken glass to play this character.
Yeah.
Not that she has to, but she will do it.
Yeah. Although if the opportunity for her to take over and be the Doctor on Doctor Who, she would do that too. So.
True. But I honestly think I'd rather have her be Agent Carter because Agent Carter is awesome.
Yeah.
Although the Doctor isn't awesome, but no one else can be Agent Carter.
Yes, that is very true. Yeah. We do love her. Again, her as Peggy is just one of those castings where you're all like, yeah, you pretty much plucked her out of the comic books, didn't you?
Like she's Peggy.
Yeah. She's Peggy. She's born to play Peggy. Peggy is her spirit animal.
Yep.
So as long as she's free, they can work this story around her. So although we need Jarvis too, so James needs to be available as well. So
He seems to be enjoying himself too.
yes. So
Oh.
I kind of wish Haley would get back on social media, but so we could enjoy more of their behind the scenes antics. But it is what it is. So if you hadn't realized, Haley Atwell has taken a hiatus from all forms of social media. So
well, everyone needs a break.
Yeah.
At some point. So I'm just realizing because I wasn't paying attention. So last season had 8 episodes. This season had 10. I did not realize that until I was looking at it on iTunes, going, oh, cool.
Well, this season probably seemed like, I don't know, long. It may seem longer, may seem shorter because we had 2 weeks in a row where we got 2 episodes. We got back-to-back episodes, but that I think was mostly due to the fact that the season started 2 weeks later than they originally intended. So
yeah, because I watched when I was watching. I expected the next show to start. And like, oh, it's 2 hours this week.
Yeah.
Because it comes up with the Marvel logo at the beginning of each episode.
It's like, oh, this is a pleasant surprise.
The first hour would end, and the Marvel logo would come up, and I'm like, is it? And it's like, there's another episode. So I just kept watching.
Which is not a bad thing.
No. It was interesting. Like, I go into it expecting it to be 1 hour, and it ends up being 2. And like, okay.
Yeah. Like, I will buy that for $1. Yeah, we lost Chrissy. Uh-oh. SpaghettiOs. Oh. Darn internet. Oh.
We love it when it walks. We hate it when it doesn't.
Yeah, pretty much. Moral of the story, Agent Carter is awesome, and if you're not watching it, you are a terrible person.
Go watch.
And I mean that in the nicest way possible. Yes, go watch it. It's well written. It is well written and just amazing.
Here's my music. If you are, I'm sorry. It's going weird. My music.
Yeah, it was pleasant sounding. I have no idea what it was, but
it's Quiet Uptown from the Hamilton musical.
Okay, I'm back.
Hey, there's Chrissy. Woo-hoo!
Shout
Yeah.
on my end. That was totally. It was not a Skype thing.
Well, apparently I got kicked out and I just got back in too.
Well,
Okay.
I don't know if I got kicked out or not because I'm still talking to you guys, but it's on the screen where I would have to rejoin the call. Like, it's not the normal Skype call screen. It's the chat, and there's a little thing in the corner saying join call, but I am part of the call, so I don't know what's going on.
I don't know.
It looks the same to me, so.
For like a minute, our internet just decided, nope, not working. But I think we're good now.
It's Hydra.
Sorry about that.
It's Hydra.
Hydra's in the Wi-Fi.
Hydra's in the Wi-Fi.
I tried clicking the join call button. It didn't do anything.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well,
I don't know.
I don't know. We're here now.
We're here, so
We're here.
it's all good.
I just won't be able to mute my microphone for the rest of this call because I don't have that button anymore.
Uh-oh. Well, try, if you sneeze, just lean way, way back, and we'll be fine. Anyway.
Okay. So anyway, Peggy.
Peggy.
We love Peggy.
That's pretty much all you missed was us just singing the praises of Peggy Carter. So.
Yep.
And the people that aren't watching it need to.
Yes. Although I don't blame them if they're not, because it has been a little difficult to get the message out that Peggy is on TV and she's awesome. And even if you haven't seen season 1, you can still watch season 2 and still get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, because Dottie came in and then Dottie left, and then Dottie came in and then Dottie left, and Dottie's still a loose cannon out there somewhere, if I remember correctly.
It's not hard to understand Dottie at this point. She's kind of Peggy's arch nemesis, and she's going to be coming back from time to time. She's kind of the master to Peggy's doctor.
Yes. That's a good way to put it.
Most of the time she's an antagonist, but sometimes she's useful to Peggy. And they end up on the same side, loosely.
Ish, yeah.
Ish.
Sometimes you gotta side up with the enemy to defeat a greater enemy.
Yes.
Or something like that. Something deep and like that, I guess.
Yep.
So, anyway, well, before we have any more issues, we should probably wrap this thing up.
Yes, we should. So, fair listener out there in listener podcast land, if you would like to contact us, I'm getting creative with these. If you'd like to contact us about anything Peggy Carter, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Once Upon a Time was back tonight. I still haven't watched it yet, but I'm going to later.
Yep, me too.
Or Doctor Who, or anything else that we like to talk about, please contact us. You can email us at fiveishfangirls@gmail.com. You can also find all of our contact information and social media links at the Five-ish Fangirls podcast.blogspot.com. And we're on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Pinterest, Instagram. Instagram's fun. And YouTube and Patreon as well. We appreciate all of our Patreon subscribers who help us continue to keep this podcast going.
Mm-hmm.
And so thank you to all who donated and to our cause. And if you would like to donate, please do. We appreciate anything that comes our way, and it all goes right back into the podcast.
Mm-hmm. And
you can also find us on iTunes. Leave a review, download us. Even if the review is I've seen better or something like that, we still appreciate reviews and things, and the Facebook interaction is a lot of fun because, like I've said before, my day job requires me to be on Facebook all day, and I deal with news and politics, which lately has been really stressful. And as much as I enjoy my day job, I need some decompression. And sometimes when I see things on our Facebook page or people leave comments, I'm like, oh, people are nice and they like us, and not everybody's nuts. Anyway, but yes, so those are all the places you can contact us, and we'll read out feedback. And before we go, because I mentioned earlier a book I was an author This was like during the news, and I figure I should actually mention that author and that book in case anyone's interested. Maybe I'll like give a review of it later, because it's actually a pretty good book. It's called Control Alt Revolt by Nick Cole. That's his name, Nick, last name Cole. Anyway, it's sort of like it's a novel about how the android invasion apocalypse gets started. But anyway, that's the one I was referring to earlier, where he went indie after his publisher took issue with something he wrote in the first chapter as a motivation for the android apocalypse to get started. But anyway, so if you're inclined and want to look that book up, I haven't finished it, but what I've read so far, it's quite entertaining. So if you like android apocalypse stuff, read it. Mm-hmm. It's good. So I'm just putting a plug in there because I'm enjoying it. Anyway, that's all.
Yeah. Well,
out of order.
Yep. No, you're fine. So, and quick reminder, next weekend I will be at the Lexington Toy and Comic Expo convention thing in Lexington. So I will be there Saturday and Sunday. So if you see me, stop me, say hi. I'll give you a business card. I usually have some on me. So, yeah. And I'm very excited. So I got my cosplay done this weekend. So stay tuned. Stay tuned for. I know I've posted several preview as progress photos as it has been being constructed, but you will get the full, complete hair, makeup, all the pieces, parts reveal at the convention next weekend. So, and I hope that Colin Baker likes it.
Oh, I'm sure he will. I mean, he'll get it. Yeah. I mean,
he'll get it, even if no one else does.
So, the fun thing about the Sixth Doctor is, like, you can be as creative. You can take all those colors and color combinations and be as creative as possible and just have fun with it. I mean, all the Doctor's style you can be, but Sixth Doctor even more so, because there's all those nutty colors and styles, things that just kind of blend together, and it's like, what can I do with this? And the possibilities are endless.
Yep.
And I like what you've done. I like your hat.
Thanks.
Yes. The hat is a nice touch.
I love that.
I don't know how many people have done that before, but
I don't know.
I like yours.
Yeah, thanks. And hopefully I'll be coherent enough to, actually try and carry on a conversation with Colin Baker.
Kind of be like,
hi, yeah.
Here's my costume. You like it? And I'm sure he'll be very gracious and cool about it.
I'm sure. So, but
he's seen it all, I'm sure.
I'm excited.
Anyway,
excited to see him and Karen, because Karen Gillan's gonna be there as well. So, and I guess I'll potentially find out one way or another if she shaved her head for Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Maybe she hasn't shaved it yet. Maybe she has, and she just hasn't said anything. So I know she's posted a picture of herself with the blue arm. So she's been in makeup, at least on her arm. So, but whether that's meant she shaved her head again, I don't know. So maybe I'll find out next week, and we'll see.
Now the big surprise is, did she actually shave her head? And if she didn't, it's like, oh.
Yeah. I will try and find out, and I'll let you know.
Well, it depends on her opinion on going through those extra hours of makeup.
Yes.
True.
And that was if she didn't shave her head, she'd have extra hours of makeup.
Yeah.
But if she did, it'd be the same length of makeup time as it was on the first Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Yep. So she probably did.
Probably.
It's funny, as fans were all like, because the first time she did it and she was at Comic-Con and she took the wig off and everyone's like, oh my gosh, and now we're like, ooh, did she do it again?
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of surprises something she could only do once.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. Very true.
Yep. Mm-hmm. That's very true. Unless she shaved it and then dyed it, but that would be awful.
Counterproductive.
Yes. She has lovely red hair. Anyway, so I'll have a full recap next weekend. So, along with whatever else we're talking next week. So, assuming I'm not, dead from meeting Colin Baker. So.
Chauncey will have to wheel you out on a stretcher or something.
Maybe. We'll see.
Alrighty.
All right. I'm getting all flustered. I still have to get
She's
through.
getting
I still have to
excited,
get
guys.
through the
We better
work week.
wrap this up
So
before
yeah.
she's totally-
Yeah. I gotta get some sleep.
Yes, sleep is good.
Yeah. All right. So, with that, let's sign off for this week.
This is Brittany and Bev saying goodnight.
This is Chrissy in Salt Lake City saying good evening.
This is Nick saying goodnight from Kitchener, Ontario.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Honestly, I don't understand Howard's fascination with mustard. I think mustard is disgusting. I'm a mayonnaise person myself. I would understand if someone was holding my mayonnaise hostage, but mustard.
And we never saw the flamingo again.
That's probably Jarvis's doing. You have been listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. Any and all movies, books, games, and other forms of media mentioned are owned and operated by the respective copyright holders. No copyright infringement is intended or implied.